good morning there. It's such a beautiful Saturday morning, and I do hope you guys are doing amazing. Welcome to Real Talk. My name is Christine KIAI. You know how we do it every other Saturday, 8 to 9 a.m. right here on Y254 TV. Now, today we are talking about young motherhood, and at 19 years old, she had just finished high school, and you know, like every other person, she had hopes, you know, to go to campus, pursue, you know, her studies, and live a normal life. And I intentionally use the quotes because, you know, society has made us think that there's a certain particular sequence you're supposed to follow in order to be successful, or there's a way you're supposed to tell your story in a certain particular sequence so that you look like you are successful. Well, that's not true. And Mitu, founder of Young Mothers Africa, a community-based organization in Italy, is here to actually tell you guys exactly that. She's here to tell us about her story as a mother, and then she's also going to tell us, you know, we're going to listen to, you know, her story about losing her baby's father, and why is it that you as a young mother, you should consider her as a very, very good friend. So are you young, pregnant, or a young mom, and you know, you have no idea what to do, you know, you have no idea, you know, what this experience is going to be about? You are in the right place. 22162 is our SMS line. Text us with your questions, text us with your stories on our SMS line. Start with the word circuit, and you can also find us on social media at eCircuit TV Show on every social media platform, and the hashtag is Real Talk with Christine. Now, also remember, if you want to be featured in this show, just reach out to us. And without much further ado, allow me to welcome Anne. Thank you so much, Anne, for coming through.
Thank you for having me, of course.
Yes. And first, I would like to, of course, let you know, and of course our viewers, that this is something that we've talked about before, but the number of people, the number of young girls who reached out to us, you know, sharing their experiences and how hard it is for them. They've been chased by their parents, you know, they had to drop out of school, and all sorts of things has been really high. And of course, I'm imagining there's so many other people watching, and you know, they're of course looking for answers. So, you know, let's just start from the beginning. You are 19, you'd finished school, you know, you're ready to go to campus. You know, what did you want to study first of all?
That would be journalism.
Journalism. Yeah. Oh, nice.
I'm into acting, so that would be filmmaking and production, of course.
Yeah. Oh, wow, that's nice. So then, you know, at that point, then what happened? Because that's where your story begins.
Like any other girl who's in school, everybody has dreams to do something with their life, and of course, you finish primary, high school, go to the university, get a good job, and then think about marriage later on. So for me, I also had such dreams, but life had a different plan, or the decision that I made in life made the outcome different. So for me, I was raised and born in Madare, and later on we moved to Isili. And growing up, I grew in a household of where I had mom, dad, and my sister and bro. And in high school, I got pregnant at 19. That is immediately after I finished Form 4. And it wasn't a good experience. First of all, my parents had a lot of expectation in terms of me and school and all that. And even me breaking the news to them, it was a really hard thing. And of course, there was a choice of doing abortion, like in some girls who would do it. And my conscience wouldn't allow me to do such. And so I decided to keep the pregnancy. Though my parents were really angry at me, I'm not sure if any of them talked to me for a very long time. But now the baby daddy agreed to be there and to take care of the responsibility that came along with me being pregnant. So I gave birth back in 2010. I was 19, 2010, and then I got a baby boy. A year later, his dad passed away, which is something that I wasn't even prepared mentally, physically, emotionally. Because you know, there's that picture that you have that life's supposed to go this way. And that's actually, he died on my birthday. And there were a lot of emotion, confusion. Where do I start? Where do I go? How will I take care of the baby? Am I even a good mother? what will the baby think of me when he grows up and all that. So it was a really hard time for me. And back then there were no support group that you would go to and see it and maybe have talks. And coming where I come from, like, it's very easy for you to go or enter into the vices, into drugs, prostitution, such stuff. But I would say that God's grace. I didn't go into such stuff, and I started pursuing. Actually, I did a lot of job. I used to sell bajias back at home with my kid in the street. Wateja wangu wanakumbuka vizuri sana.
The hustle is real.
Yeah, the hustle is real. I used to come to town, do a lot of stuff. At the end of the day, you might get paid 200, 300 a day, and life goes on. As long as you put food on the table and the baby is good, has a roof on top of his head, and yeah. So I started pursuing. I liked acting a lot, so I started going into audition, national theatre now and then. You don't get roles, you still go, you become an extra, you still continue with such stuff. You know, when you have passion, you just have to pursue everything that you go. So back in 2014, I went to an audition in Mathare, and I auditioned for a character called Shiro in a show called Jungle Love that is under Shujas. And Shiro was a 16-year-old girl who lives in the slum and had a baby. So I was fortunate enough to get that role, and it's really merged with my life story. And I knew for them to come up with such character, they must have done a few researches, and that's how Young Mothers Africa came about.
All right. So before we get to know about this organization, do you feel, because this is one of the issues that I found people raising, especially on social media, you feel like if the dad, may his soul rest in peace, didn't accept responsibility, do you feel you would have made a different decision?
In most cases, the young mothers that I've met or that I've been with, most of the time, it's either two-way. The parent agree or the boyfriend doesn't agree. I'm not sure if I've ever met someone who the parent and the boyfriend, all of them didn't agree. But for me, I'm not sure what I would have done if he did agree. Maybe I would have gone the abortion way, or I don't know. I wouldn't like to be in such shoes, but I'm so grateful that he did came on board to support me, as much as I was that young, but he came on board to support me. Unless for some who have been raped, such situation inakuanga in hand, but most of the time it's either the mom might come and support you or the baby died.
All right, so at that point your relationship with your parents was shaky?
My mom didn't talk to me, I think, for the whole time I was pregnant, and my dad also the same. They're really mad at me. But later on, they did come on board. Of course, they are our parents and all that, and of course, they started supporting me. But that's a while after that, because personally, I knew it wasn't a good thing, because in our society, there's that picture: what will your friends say, your mom's friends say, and all that. So it wasn't. And of course, walking around, people go like, nilijua tu atapata,
Yeah, that mentality, of course, now even puts someone, off, because everyone is like,
Plus, there's a lot of stigma with a girl who's pregnant. Even it's hard for her to attend the antenatal care. Some of them give birth at home, even when the maternities are free, they'll still give birth at home, because they're afraid if they go there on how they'll be treated and how they'll be talked to. So the stigma is still there.
So now you see, you went through so much, and the stigma as well, and I would say surprisingly, you are able to push on. Not many young mothers, are able to do that. They always ask, now, what do I do? Where do I go? What kept you, going, that, you didn't feel like your dreams were shattered, and you felt like, you still have something you can do in this life? What kept you going?
Actually, after my baby daddy passed away, I gave up on life. My mom will attest to that. I was really frustrated, and I actually didn't know what to do. For a span of 2 years, I didn't do anything. Probably go out hustle. I didn't even think about my dreams. I didn't even think about what life. I didn't feel anything that came into interest, because I was like, God, why would you even take him like right now? How am I supposed to live? Like, what will I even tell this baby? Like, why would you do that to me? I was so mad at God, and I had so many questions. And as much as my mom tried to talk to me, making sense, like it's life, but I had a lot of questions. And I remember my friends will come and talk to me. They will talk, finish, and then I'm like, Memaliza. Because I actually knew my life was over. What I didn't know it was that my life was actually beginning. It's a new slate that had been given, which I came to realize later on. After I was in the denial stage for 2 years. After 2 years, that's when I realized, like, you need to do this. Your son is not growing small, but he's growing old, and there's a time he'll reach that he'll need school fees and such, and you must be a responsible mom. So it's either you wake up from whatever you're in, or you just stay there. So that's when I started doing what I did.
All right, so let's just move in and talk about, you know, the organization. Of course we know why it came about. So like, how did you, at what particular point did you decide, okay, now let me start this organization for this and this reason? That's what I want you to tell us.
So I have a mentor who I thank God for. He really used to challenge me a lot, push me to the limits that I thought I wasn't be able to tackle. And then within where I stay, there are a lot of young mothers. I could tell you, the time I was pregnant, my friend was also pregnant. So it wasn't like a new thing. Most of girls there are pregnant. Like in every 5 girls, like 2 of them, 1 of them has a kid, the other one is pregnant. So I thought if I was able to come out of this, I might try and encourage my friends, like my surrounding, in a circle. And with that, I saw other girls reaching out like, hey Anne, I'm pregnant, just from Tani. Niko na ball ndafanya, and then of course I'm pro-life. Take a ball, ndakana. So the thought, what can I do different? Because when I used to attend the antenatal care, of course mama walikuwa wananiangalia hapo kwa line like, mtoto mdogo unafanya nini hapa, mbona uko na mimba, kwanza hata line unaweza ruka, you see. So I approached the local clinic, which is within us, it's called Biafra, and I talked to the nurse. Actually, I went there to ask about contraceptive, just to see how the reception is. And I remember asking about condom, because we were just there, outside there. And then the nurse took me in and then started counseling me about everything. So she was a friendly one. And later on, I talked to her about what I wanted to do. I wanted to become a volunteer at the center, so that it can be much easier for me to reach out to girls who come in to the facility. And she gave me an opportunity to become a volunteer. So that's how I started. And then it was just a small thing. And then at some other time I was called for an interview, and so many girls reached out from Mombasa, Eldoret, Kisumu, and then I was like, okay, it's serious.
It is.
I had not done any research about the young mothers that they're there and everything. So after that, that's when it became a serious thing.
And it is a community-based organization, so you don't really make much profit from it. How do you sustain it?
I know, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, but God makes ways in somehow. But most of the time, what I do is I do events for the young girls, mostly in informal settlement, because that's where my heart is. I would do an event in Mathare, I would do an event in Kibera, and mostly in Isili, because that's where it's home. There's so many slums around it. I would do one in Majengo. And most of the time we don't need a lot of money, because we'd have sanitary towels, clothes, and facilitators who come in to talk about probably life skills, going back to school and such stuff, because we also need girls to go back to school even after getting pregnant, because we believe that there's still that's another chance that you've been given. So you know you're going to be more responsible, because there's another being that is depending on you. So if you go back to school, at least you'll be able to further your studies. And of course trying to make them realize that they can still, the dreams that they had, it's still possible for them to achieve. All
right. So we are talking to Anne Mitu, who is founder of Young Mothers Africa, a community-based organization. And just if you have any questions, or if you have you want to share your story, do that on 22162, starting with the word circuit. Social media handles is at Isaki TV Show. The hashtag is Real Talk with Christine. So Anne, Young Mothers Africa, what type of activities do you do, and like at what point do you reach out to these mothers? Do they reach out to you, or do you go out to find these young girls who are pregnant?
Like for the event that I did in Majengo, I had CHVs, those are community health volunteers, who reached out to me. They told me, and our girls, as schools have closed, our girls at home, and most of them are vulnerable and exposed to such stuff. And as you know, Majengo is an informal settlement. And there's a lot that is going around in that area. So for that one, I got mothers and CHVs reaching out for me to do an event so that I can talk to them. When they talk to them, they feel like it's a lecture, but coming from a young person, it's much relatable to them. And of course, when I do such event, I might even come with a young dad who will be able to share their experience, so that you can be able to balance. At times when you talk to them, they feel like anatukazia maisha. But if you bring a guy on board, wasikie perspective yake, inakuwa much easier for them to relate, kwa sababu in real life story yenye anashare. Inakuwa much easier. And then I also have young mothers from the street. They're in Mathare. And for them, what we do, we have a feeding program every third Saturday of the month, where in Deliverance Church, in church of course, where they come in, we talk to them if they want to go back to school, try and provide shelter to some. You can have like 3 street young mothers living in the same house. You just have a mattress on something, so that they can at least have a shelter. Mostly ni wale mademu wenye wako na mimba ama wenye wako na watoto wadogo, so we put them on board. And yes, so many young mothers do reach out, probably on social media or in person, or they send someone. So I mostly use social media kwa sababu most young people online, they're using internet all over the place. So I even have young mothers who are not even from Kenya that they try to reach out to me.
Wow, from where?
As far as Palestine.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is big. That is big. And there's of course other things that are big about you that people don't know, but we will get there. Yes. So so you help out pregnant young moms, pregnant girls, and also the ones who have already given birth, and just help them go through the process. But for these young girls, because abortion is, it is there, and if you're pregnant, you're just told you need to abort, by the way. You're too young, yeah? So how do you get these girls to understand that, there's life after pregnancy? That's not where your life ends. As a matter of fact, most of the times, that's when your life begins.
I believe mostly in creating awareness first on issues surrounding teenage pregnancy, because if you're going to tackle girls getting pregnant at an earlier age, you must also reflect on how they're coming to become young mothers, you see. So there are different situations, scenarios as to why girls become pregnant. Some of them, it's the poverty level, cultural beliefs like the FGM that automatically leads them to early marriage and all stuff. And we also talk more about abstinence, because sex is not an emergency, of course, and something you can do without, you see. So, but for the girls who are sexually active, because they are, I've been challenged a lot, and people think that I promote premarital sex. And normally I would ask them, how do you explain a 14-year-old girl who's pregnant and was not raped? They are sexually active. It's something that our society doesn't agree. Us as Africans, we don't talk about sex because it's a taboo. You're not supposed to talk about that. We leave that to the teachers to talk about it. The teachers leave it to the religious leaders and the parents. It's a cycle. Nobody talks about it at the end of the day. So they'll go to the social media, internet. It's all over there. They'll see, and because of they're curious, of course. But for the girls that get pregnant and they're not shown what to do, actually abortion is not the first thing. Though it will cross your mind. It did cross my mind, of course. But I'm not sure how you'll be able to live, you knowing that there's a life that ulitupa kwa roho, kwa sababu
Yeah.
Someday God atakujudge about that. And if you didn't want to get pregnant, ungekuwa more careful about it. Kwa sababu, of course, si kitu uliangukia tu. So one, lazima ukuwe responsible if you're going to be sexually active. Use condom, of course, you see. But if you be reckless, that's how, of course, you'll end up. Unless if you've planned to get pregnant. Because some girls do get pregnant because they feel like if they get pregnant, the guy will stay.
Yeah.
And most of them leave.
They live, yeah. Yeah, so you've had it. I mean, sex is not an emergency. All right, so there's this thing, and this is just something that I experienced when I was in campus and I was doing community service, because I did community service in a children's home. And, you know, I wanted to talk about that, I don't know, rage and hatred that comes towards that child, because I remember one of the kids I took care of died because she had HIV and all her organs were messed up, and we picked her up from a bin, you know, in garbage area in around 44, you know, at that time when I was in campus. So this rage that comes with, you know, now you look at the child and you're like, now what is this? How do you help these women?
Yeah, it's called postpartum depression.
Yes.
And most young mothers go through that. I went through that. Most of them, because, you know, it's something that you never prepared. And then you think that after giving birth, you'll automatically connect with your kid. But I feel like it's a process. Because I remember when I saw my kid for the first time, I was like, okay, now I'm going to start to change diapers. Like, how am I going to take care of this? And I have a friend who runs a page called Postpartum Depression Kenya. She's called Somania. She's been doing that for a very long time. And for her, it was a very severe case. I think she hit the baby when the baby was like a few months old. So it's something that goes on. And at times you feel like, this baby is the reason as to why I'm not where I am. Of course, most of the time when the guy refuses to take responsibility, you transfer your anger to the kid, who actually didn't even send a letter for you to bring him to the world. So it is a long process that with time healings come to be. But it's something that people do go a lot, because one, it's a baby that wasn't planned for. Two, you feel like everything has gone down the drain, so you're not even sure how to tackle a lot of emotion going on. So most of the time end up doing such stuff. And
you know, people might not know this, but you are a young person sitting here who's doing great things, and you know, getting recognized far beyond this country, and you're recognized by Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation. Just tell us a bit about that.
I would say it's something that I'm always humbled about, something that of course I didn't imagine it will ever happen. So it's through what I do, sharing my story, encouraging young girls, supporting them, encourage them to go back to school. So I met Melinda Gates back in, I think, 2016, when she visited in Kenya. And I met her through what I do, of course. And it was a pleasure. And for her, she felt like what I was doing is something that people don't celebrate, something that people don't talk about. And her honoring what I do, it was something that I didn't even expect. And since then, she's been writing about me, she's been doing documentaries about me. She recognized me as one of the 6 most influential women in the world who, in matters concerning family planning, and I was the only one from East Africa. And every other year when the Girl Child Day, she have also recognized me as one of the 3 most inspiring young people in the world, alongside Malala. So it's an honor, and I thank God for that. I don't take anything.
That is amazing. You know, you are doing awesome stuff, and of course, you know, we will definitely want to see more, and even just engage with you and be part of it. But you know, for our viewers, because we are running out of time, who have questions, who want to reach out to you, you know, reach out to the organization, maybe we would share maybe your number if you'd like to, and your social media account.
Yeah, which camera?
Camera.
Oh, okay.
As well as your last message to them.
and Mitu on Facebook, Mitu and on Instagram, and Mitu and on Twitter. Yeah, Young Mothers Africa, Facebook Young Mothers Africa, Twitter Young Mothers Africa, Instagram of course. Yeah, you can DM me. I'm online.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, for coming through and sharing your story. I'm very sure that quite a number of young girls are gonna reach out because they do really need your help. Thank you so much, Anne.
Thank you for having me.
All right, all right. So I'm gonna leave you guys with a quote by Christopher Reeves that says, "Once you choose hope, nothing is impossible. Everything else is possible." We have come to the end of Real Talk today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for your feedback. Keep sending your questions, your stories if you want to be featured in the show. 2216 is our SMS line. Instagram, Facebook and Twitter is at eCircuit TV show. Now I'll just give you another opportunity to share your contacts one more time, just in case anyone didn't get that.
It's Ann Mitu, Mitu M-I-T-U without a W. Ann Mitu on Facebook, Mitu Ann on Instagram, and Mitu Ann on Twitter. Young Mothers Africa on Facebook, Young Mothers Africa on Twitter, Young Mothers Africa on IG. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yes, so, well, nothing more to say, but we wish you guys a lovely Saturday. Well, up next, of course, is eCircuit. See you next Saturday on Real Talk. Bye.